Greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Reddit series video from the subreddit HFY called The Asimov Pt.3 of 8, written by Shogun Sidon. Captain Lee straightened his dress uniform as best he could under the environmental suit in the bay of the alien ship. They were about to have the first official exchange of communications with an alien species, and he felt the moment deserved a higher level of decorum. The small, dark alien was first to speak. History was about to be made, thought Captain Lee. I would like to begin by first offering my most sincere apologies for defecating on you, it said through the translator. Captain Lee looked quickly over at his communication officer as Pearson did her best to stifle a laugh. Only a small, distinctly unceremonious snort escaped her. The little alien looked puzzled by the reaction. Singh held up a finger in the air without looking away from the machine. In my defense, the two words are very similar in their tongue. I think... Okay, it should work now. Singh gestured at the alien, who seemed to understand what he was getting at. I would like to begin by offering my most sincere apologies for shooting at you, the alien said. My name is First Hetek. On behalf of the crew of the last night, we thank you for coming to our aid, it continued. First Hetek, my name is Captain Lee of the starship Asimov. We represent the planet Earth, and we are honored to meet you and your crew. This is a momentous day to our people's history, and the people of Earth and its colonies would like to extend you our hands of friendship. The Rothler of the Rutan also look forward to becoming friends, and, the alien paused. First, Hetek paused. What was he supposed to say? He was a captain of a cargo freighter. Their current load was Afririan spices. He was not trained for meeting a new alien species. He tried to continue. We need to get home, Niman interrupted rudely. The chubby alien stepped forward and looked up at the giant captain of the alien starship. This is a freighter, and First Hetek is a fine captain, but the people you need to speak to are on our home planet. Niman, Hetek whispered. While the aliens had proven friendly enough over the last 2 days, he did not think it wise to antagonize a new species that had shown itself to be so powerful. Even the small glimpses he got of the ship currently attached to the last light made it clear that nothing in the Rothler fleet, or perhaps even the Malned fleet, could even compare. Niman was undaunted. If you can help us repair our ship, you will find the Rothler in our main government will make better speeches than First Hetek. I've already spent almost a whole day trying to teach your friend about the universal translator. Because of that, I haven't been able to start any ship repairs. The alien made a strange rumbling again. It sounded like laughing, but it was so low and loud that it took on an ominous feeling. The translator could not interpret the noise. Some of the other aliens joined in. I believe you are Niman. Forgive us. We're so excited to meet you that I forgot that you might be far away from home. Of course, we'll be happy to provide you with any assistance you need. I've sent word to our people, and if we can't repair your ship, we will be more than happy to get you home by other means. This is my navigator, Neve. She will be very useful in helping you get back home. Could you provide her with access to your data? Captain Lee said. First, Hetek motioned to another Rothler, who nervously came over and ushered Neve away. As for your ship, my engineer, Mr. Peterson, will do what he can to help you, Captain Lee said, pointing to an alien to his left. First Hetek, would you mind staying with me? I have so many questions that cannot wait. Niman was pleased by this offer and began to prepare her suit and tools. First, Hetek led Captain to an area off to the side where he and the crew prepared a semi-private area. He hoped that the alien captain would find it comfortable. I'm sorry about the accommodations. The rest of the ship still has no power, First Hetek said, smoothing his fur. Captain Lee seemed this before and seemed to be a nervous tick. He wondered if it was something at all the Rothler did. That alien was dressed in a blue smock, and its lapel wore one translator units that all the Rothler wore that was now programmed for English. It wore no shoes of any kind, and the well-padded soles he saw when it walked seemed like they were made of some pretty tough skin. Captain Lee set himself down gently. It had been almost a day since he had been shot, and the doctor had been right. Once the adrenaline had worn off, he could feel the ache in his muscles, and the light bruising in the area of the shot let him know that the weapon might not have been lethal, but it would still have packed a pretty good punch without his armor. First Hetek seemed to have noticed and looked at the floor contritely. Captain Lee had to remind himself that this was an intelligent, spacefaring species. Pearson was right, the damned things were completely adorable. Please, First Hetek, I'm fine. Your weapon caused no significant damage, just some slight discomfort. The little alien gave a look of shock. Discomfort? That would have killed most species, and those didn't die that would have suffered serious damage. I will have to let my commander and doctor figure it out. What I am more curious about, though, First Hetek, is that you mentioned other species. How many species are there from where you are from? The captain said. I don't know the exact number, but I personally had dealings with more than 24, but we only carry cargo in a small sector, so I'm sure there are many more, First Hetek replied. Captain Lee took a deep breath. Dozens of species, he thought. There seemed to be an entire galactic civilization that humans weren't a part of. First Hetek cocked his head, his ears turning slightly. Captain, you seem surprised. Might I ask how many species your people trade with? First Hetek asked. First Hetek, you are the first alien species any human being has ever encountered in our 200 years of exploring space. We've had reports in our history of aliens visiting our planet and abducting some of our people, but those have usually been discounted as stories of delusional people, Captain Lee said. Now, it was First Hetek's turn to take a deep breath. He had never before encountered a species was so isolated. Usually, by the time a species developed FTL travel, they were contacted by at least one of the other spacefaring races. Captain, where is your home planet? When our FTL malfunctioned, we were thrown off course in our attempt to escape your ship. I did not have time to determine our position, First Hetek said. Captain Lee pulled up the datapad and tapped a few times before handing it to First Hetek. If you press here, you can see the larger view, but this is our planet Earth. First Hetek took a pad and paused and looked at the blue disk. He was shocked at how much water was on the planet, if there was in fact water. He tapped the screen to get a larger view, trying to determine where they were. Finally, the view expanded enough that he could see the similar galactic formations. His tongue dropped out of his mouth, and he looked at the alien captain. Captain, your map must be mistaken. You can't be from there. It's a dead zone. A what? Werner asked. A cross between a fox and a pig, Zoo replied. They were both on guard duty, although the term was somewhat loosely used. Mostly, they were just there to make sure that the curious crew of the Asimov didn't keep going down to see the aliens in person. After the initial meeting, Pearson had repositioned the ship so its airlock was nearer to the cargo bay where the Rothler were. This made it easier for the crew of the Asimov to go back and forth and do what needed to be done, but it also meant that a lot of rubberneckers were going for a glance. That's a space bear, Warner replied. At 25, he was the youngest on the crew except for Neve and had only recently joined the Asimov after completing his time in the army on Earth. His family had been poor and he had seen enlisting as a way to see the world. His first assignment was on a base near the SpaceX launch facilities in Florida, and like many others, he got a bug to go into space. He was an ESA material, and he knew that, but he was a good soldier and talked his way onto the freighter as part of the security detail. He couldn't tell you anything about gravity wells or orbital mechanics, but he was good in a fight and followed orders well. Captain Lee had seen that when they met. Zoe was taking some convincing. She felt that he was too young, but was finally agreed. The two of them were the security for the Asimov and its crew of 50. But in truth, there was little to do on that front, so they both helped out with the duties on the ship as needed. Before this, the only action they had really seen was helping separate some clashing miners on one of the asteroids when a dispute over mining rights had broken out. Look at the ears. Bears have small, rounded ears. Theirs are higher and pointed. As for the noses, how can you look at them and tell me they don't look like pig's nose? Zeus said. All I know is that when you get back to the base and I start selling stuffed versions of these things, alien space bears is going to sell a whole of a lot better than kids than alien fox pigs, Warner said. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long time before you get to do anything like that. Command came back and told us to hold tight. They're sending the Legion out here to meet us, but otherwise put us under lockdown. I don't think the news is going to get out anytime soon, Zoo replied, watching the Rothler move about the bay. With the rest of the ship down and the aliens were trying to make the bay as comfortable as possible. The Asimov had helped by bringing over sterilized pillows and blankets, which the Rothler incorporated into the little nest-like structures on the floor. How long do you think they'll be going to keep this quiet? People are going to want to know about this. I'd want to know about this if I was on Earth or the colonies, Warner said. Who knows? They're going to want to get everything from these guys that they can and then maybe talk with someone in the government or whatever they have. I wouldn't be surprised if it was months before news got out. Warner's shoulders sank a little. He had a friend in Valhalla that had manufacturing connections. These space bears were sure to make him rich, but not unless he could get the first and get them made. Neve finished her download of the ship's records from the data of the second Lytton had provided her. The little alien was a nervous wreck the entire time, but managed to get her what she needed. She would review them back on the Asimov and prepare a report. As she got up to leave, she saw one of the aliens sitting by itself off in the corner of the bay, as the others scampered around with their tasks. Its fur was lighter than the rest, almost blonde coloring. Neve wasn't an expert on aliens, but it looked sad. She gathered up her things and walked over to it. Her experience with Lytton had taught her that moving slowly and speaking softly were the best approach. The little Rothler, then dressed in a grey smock similar to what others wore, Neve saw it also wore a translator. The Rothler stood very still as she approached. Neve sat down on the crate next to it. Hello, my name is Lindsay Neve. My friends call me Neve, she said. Rothler looked at her, not meeting her gaze. My name is Barrow. The voice came out of the translator was different than the one she'd heard from the others. It sounded more like Nimmons, but much softer. Was this a female, Neve wondered? Do they even have two sexes like we do? It's nice to meet you, Varro. Why are you over here by yourself? Neve asked. I'm only a cook, Barrow replied, but the kitchen is not working, so I have nothing to do. Can't you help with the work your friends are doing? Varro made a motion with her head. Neve decided the little alien was a she. I would only be in the way. I cook for the crew, but they do not like me to interfere with anything else. Some of them think a rum shouldn't be on ships at all, she replied. Now Neve cocked her head. What's in a rum? Varro looked around before speaking. On our planet, my people are from the north. We are called a rum. Other Rothler sometimes don't like a rum because we are not smart, so they want us to stay out of the way. Where are your people from? I was too far away to hear your leader speak. Sadness swept over Neve as she studied the little alien. Billions of miles away, and some things in the universe were all too similar. We call ourselves human, and on our planet is called Earth. I come from a part of Earth called Canada. It's in the north, too, so we have something in common. This seemed to reassure Varro as she shuffled a little closer. Are you an elder of your people? I've never seen humans before. I am only 39 cycles old. Sometimes they tease me for being so young, Varro said. I understand. I am also the youngest on our ship. Sometimes they tease me, too. How did you end up on the ship, Varro? She asked. First Hitik came to our colony and found me there. He is a kind Rothler, and he let me join the crew. Do you have family? Neve asked. Varro clasped her paws together and seemed to grow even smaller. My family was part of the colony. They were 5 in my litter, and my parents. We had agricultural license, but that's all gone now. The Manlet came and told the colonists that they did not have permission to be on the planet. The Manlet do what they always do. We tried to hide when it It started, but they found us, my brothers and sisters. I ran into the woods and to escape, but they burned the colony. I came back when they left, but there was nothing left. I do not know if the family was any more, Neve. I do not know if I should hope that they are alive. The Manlid do not treat prisoners well. Neve blinked back some tears. Varro, who are the Manlid? You do not know of the Manlid, Varro said. You are very lucky then, Neve. Everyone knows of the Manlid. They control everything in the galaxy. All species are afraid of them. They travel to system, taking what they want. Our people always gave them what they demanded and hoped that the Manlid would leave them alone. Sometimes they do, but other times they're cruel. They were cruel when they came for my colony. Why don't you fight? Eve asked. Rattler are not good at war, Neve. When we try to fight, this angers the Manlid, and they burn our cities and kill the Rattler. Even the young. We never went against them. It's better to give them what they want, at least. Then they have us live as long as we pay the collectors. Even still, they will do what they want. The Manlid, no war. I hope that your people might not meet them. Lee gently gave Varro's paw into her gloved hands. Varro, I'm going to tell you a secret. What's the secret? Varro asked, eyes wide. A secret is something special that you only share with a good friend and no one else, Neve said. Varro's ears perked up. Oh, it's like a Hashin. Yes, please. What is the secret? She leaned in closer. Humans, Neve whispered, are very, very good at war. End of chapter. And that, my friends, concludes this dose of science fiction fun. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, please don't forget to support the author from the link down below. But if you want to support this channel, there are links as well down below for you to help with. But the easiest way would be to share this video. And if you are so inclined, subscribe as well. I will see you all in the next episode, and I hope that you all have a fantastic time until then. Cheers.